Greetings, comrades. This is Unforgiven Caleb, and for my first video on my secondary channel, I thought I'd make it about something I've wanted to talk about for a while. What you're watching is footage from NeuroVoider, an awesome twin-stick shooter roguelike in the veins of Nuclear Throne and Enter the Gungeon. This is basically a story about how I abandoned console gaming recently and made the move to PC gaming. Now, this won't be a super long story. I won't be going into too much detail about my experiences on consoles. Rather, I'll talk about some of my favorite games, my first online experience with Xbox Live, and what made me switch over to PC gaming. I'm also not bashing console gamers or anything like that. Some people prefer gaming on consoles, some prefer PCs, to each their own. So if you're a rabid console fanboy who thinks their opinion is fact, and that anyone who has their own opinion is wrong, then feel free to stop watching this video and move right along. Now, I've been playing video games since I had baby teeth. I played NES, SNES, N64, PlayStation 1 and 2, Dreamcast, GameCube, the original Xbox, all that. Even owned a DS at one point. But I'm going to talk about mainly the Xbox 360. I loved the 360. I remember playing Fear. That was my first ever Xbox 360 game. Gears of War came next. That was my second 360 game. I was blown away with the graphic capabilities, the feel of the controller, the interface of the 360. For about 7 years, I enjoyed the 360. Yeah, I've dealt with the Red Ring of Death several times, but at the time, at least it didn't diminish my love for it. A lot of my favorite games I played on the 360. Halo definitely comes to mind. I played a lot of Halo 1 and 2 on the original Xbox, and Halo 3 was definitely where it was at for me. Halo Reach was definitely my favorite in the Halo series, mainly because of the customization of your Spartan and the decent multiplayer. I also played several other games like Call of Duty, Dead Space, little Battlefield here and there. I remember during 2007, I've been reading a lot of Game Informer. Some of my favorite games were covered at that time, such as Prototype, Borderlands, before it got the newer comic-like art style, Dead Space, all that. Around 2011, I had a sizable library of games, like close to 100 if I recall correctly. Unfortunately at the time, money was a little tight, so I ended up selling a few games. Back then, I shopped at GameStop a lot. I always look forward to sales for used games, find games I want for good prices, what have you. Nowadays, I rarely go to GameStop because I buy my games digitally now. I pretty much only go there to buy Steam cards, and even then, not very often since the supermarket I work at just recently started selling them. Anyway, around 2012, my Xbox, bear in mind I've owned the older model Xbox around this time, suddenly stopped reading discs, so I went and got the Xbox 360 Slim, or whatever. The newer Xbox model released at the time. It looks better and has built-in Wi-Fi, which meant that I could finally give Xbox Live a spin. The reason I didn't touch Xbox Live before this is that my router was in the living room and my Xbox was in the bedroom on the other side of the house, so unless I had a 100-foot long Ethernet cable, I couldn't use Xbox Live. Anyway, I tried out Xbox Live and played Halo Reach, Modern Warfare 3, a little Gears of War 3 online. I also played Minecraft for the first time on the 360. Took a little getting used to, but soon I got around to making nice houses, digging for diamonds, making villages, all that. I slowly started rebuilding my Xbox collection with games like Darksiders 2, Mass Effect 3, State of Decay, Crysis 3, plenty of cool games throughout 2012 and 2013. 2013, however, is around my time when my interest in consoles started fading a little bit. When I saw the slew of games coming out through late 2013 and 2014, I was underwhelmed. Now, yes, there were hits like Titanfall and Destiny, but a lot of those games didn't interest me. Then there was all the backlash of the Xbox One, which I won't get into. That's been mentioned to death already. Not to mention the gaming communities on the 360 were somewhat diminishing after the release of the Xbox One. 2014 was the year I officially made the switch to PC gaming. There have been connection problems abound with Xbox Live. I had these issues before, but around this time they were worse. My shitty Wi-Fi didn't exactly help either. Not only were the 360 communities diminishing, but they're becoming somewhat more toxic. Not that they weren't toxic before, but over the last few years they've gotten worse. There's a Call of Duty community, of course, and then there's World of Tanks community on the 360, which you'd think wouldn't be very, harsh and, toxic or anything like that. But, these communities have become so rude and overly sensitive that I thought, that's it, I'm not spending $60 a year to put up with bullshit like this. At that point, I decided to stop playing consoles, and I started saving up for a gaming PC. I only occasionally fired up the 360 to squeeze in just a few more hours of game time before calling it quits. In the meantime, I played on my old Dell Dimension PC and played a handful of games on there, My Steam library was just starting out at the time. I had the classic Doom games, Jets and Guns Gold, a few retro-style games like 8-Bit Commando, Jet Gunner, and I even played Morrowind on there. I was actually surprised that my old Dell PC could run Morrowind, but to its credit, by the time that this PC was made, Morrowind was fairly old. So I saved up for around 6 or 7 months, setting aside some cash, as well as some birthday money. It was around August, if I remember correctly, that I bought some Amazon gift cards that totaled over $600. Then, I ordered my PC. There were a lot of choices, but I went with the Cybertron PC Patriot, as I felt it would be a good stepping stone to gaming on PC. It took a while to get here, around the beginning of September. It took about a month for it to ship and whatnot. The moment I took that PC out of the box and plugged it in, that was when I knew my console days have come to an end. The first game I got into was Garry's Mod. From the first few hours I played, I was hooked. Not just with Garry's Mod. I mean, take a look at my playtime. I have nearly 3,000 hours and 1,200 screenshots uploaded. But with PC gaming. A lot of the games I played on the 360, like Saints Row, Dead Space, Mortal Kombat, Skyrim, and all that, were also on PC. And they ran a lot better and were made better with mods. Granted, one of the main reasons I switched to PC was so I could play Skyrim, one of my absolute favorite games with mods. I actually didn't do that until months later, but I played Oblivion to catch up with another favorite. I also started playing so many other games on PC, including some that I missed on consoles. Came across old favorites like Doom and Skyrim, and new ones like Skullgirls, Crimson Clover, and so many others. Steam was this huge library of games that, until I switched to PC, I knew almost nothing about. Now, I can't imagine playing on any other platform. Of course, that's not to say that PC gaming doesn't have its own issues. Now, for starters, when I first got the Patriot, it had a CPU with integrated graphics, so some of the games looked like ass. You can only play on low settings. But that all changed when I got my first graphics card, an EVGA GeForce GTX 750 Ti. I got about 3 months after I got the computer. It could run a lot of games on high settings and made some games run smoother. I further improved that performance with a new power supply, a 650 watt power supply from Thermaltake, and a better CPU, an AMD Athlon X-Force 760K. Not exactly the best CPU for gaming, but it was all I could afford at the time. Plus, it was compatible with my motherboard, and I still use it to this day, albeit now paired with a much stronger GTX 960 superclocked, also from EVGA. Now, another thing about PC gaming, at least on Steam, is that it's far different from Xbox. Like Xbox, it also has its share of assholes, elitist douches, and fanboys. But on the other hand, there are a lot more friendlier gamers. In fact, my friends list as of this video is over 400 strong. All of them really cool people who enjoy checking out my Gmod screenshots and like many of the same games that I do. There are different groups and communities to join, lots of different gamers to play with, and of course a huge selection of games to play. One more thing, when the newest games are coming out, you need to make sure your PC's up to snuff. I was able to get by, playing with my current CPU. My graphics card's more than capable of handling the latest games on reasonable settings. But if I ever hope to play the latest games, I have to upgrade. Hence why I'm setting aside money for new PC parts. I plan on upgrading to an Intel i5 6600K with a good aftermarket core. Probably one from, Vantex? Yeah. Yeah, also a Z170 motherboard for that CPU, some compatible RAM, as well as another power supply and a kind of larger case, so long as it'll fit on my desk. Which brings up the next thing about PCs. You kind of have to be your own technician. This could be an advantage and a disadvantage. Building your own PC can be a pretty fun experience. In fact, I think it could be an interesting talent to have. You know how PCs are built, what goes where, what parts are compatible with this, such and so forth. Of course, if it's your first time, it can be a little daunting. My PC was pre-built, I just added and swapped parts along the way. I've never built a PC from the ground up, but once I get the parts, I will certainly give it a spin. How hard can it be? Also, if something goes wrong, like the power supply gives out or your CPU cooler stopped working, you just get a replacement part. You don't have to send the entire PC to someone to fix it for you, though, again, if you're not well versed in PCs, you can. All that aside, I can understand why a lot of PC gamers refer to themselves as the PC master race. By no means do I consider myself part of that demographic, but I have been converted from consoles to PCs, and I have almost no regrets in doing so. Now, if you like consoles, that's cool. I'm not bashing consoles in any way, shape, or form, even though wish the communities were a little more chill to play with. I'm just sharing how I switched from consoles to PCs, and it was a rather enlightening experience to say the least. Hope you enjoyed this little story, and I might have a few more on the way, such as what kind of peripherals I use for PC, or what game series and individual games I really enjoy. Until then, this is Unforgiving Caleb signing out. Have a nice day.